G'day guys, welcome to the latest episode of Beyond the Tape, a podcast where we talk to people doing rad things in the mountain bike industry. This is going to be the first of the last. As I said on Instagram the other day, we will be kind of shutting things down at the end of the year, which is a bit of bittersweet stuff. So we're going to do a few more episodes and see this thing off in a big way. We've got some big guests lined up and it's going to be sick. For this one, we are chatting with big-time supporter, long-time supporter of the podcast. A lot of people know him as Frank, but he's actually Francis Staude. He's the founder behind Frank Mountain Bike Clothing. Honestly, my favourite mountain bike clothing ever, and I will continue to wear their stuff after this because it's number one, man. Like it really, really is good. We've had some other supporters over the years, but for this one, let's thank Trex Bikes for keeping me rolling on the rig and keeping this podcast going for the last 3 years. Those guys have been excellent. Shred Bike Care, man, you can't support anyone better than Mick Sinclair and the guys there. They are absolutely killing it. You've got a bottle of their Ceratec sitting right next to me. Been using that on the bike since day one. It is so good. Fist handwear, they've kept my hands protected. Absolutely love it. Lead Out Sports, keeping everyone with the best tools. They're over at our Handmade Bike show at the moment. Absolutely jealous of those guys. Next up, Capped Out Caps, man. They're keeping the bike looking good with some custom stem caps. And Oakley, keeping my eyes protected. They're going to be one that I miss a lot. Scotty over there at Oakley's been looking after me for a while. And absolutely love the dude. Anyway, as I said, first to last, so I hope you enjoy this potty. We going deep into what it's like to start a brand, talk about a bunch of other stuff, and it's really rad. So as per usual, grab a beer, grab a water, grab a wine, grab whatever makes you happy, and enjoy this podcast. Easy, man. You happy to jump straight in, or you got any questions?
All good.
Sick. Yeah, well, Francis, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for making it happen and going on.
Thanks, mate. We've been talking about it for a long time, so glad we're able to finally do it.
As they say, sixth time lucky or something like that, right?
Yeah, always the way.
For those who don't know who you are or what you do, a brief intro and let us know a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a Perth boy and still live here. And 2017, I started Franked MTB Apparel from very humble beginnings. And then, been sort of chugging away at it until here we are today. I like riding, I like racing, been riding and racing for a very long time. So, it made sense to make it my job.
Didn't realise it's been like 7 years, so nearly up to the 10-year mark. That's pretty epic.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even put a number on it just then, but that is pretty crazy. It was a pretty slow beginning because I'm a physio as well. So I was starting off still doing full-time physio and then, dropped to 1 day of physio, dropped 2 days of physio, dropped 3 days of physio, and then kind of pulled the trigger and went full-time. So, yeah.
So you're full-time Franks now?
Yeah, I think for a year and a half it must be, except a small period where I went back to help out my old boss when my partner was on maternity leave.
Okay.
But pretty much full time. And it's probably worth doing a little bit of physio work because otherwise you lose the registration. So I'll probably still do bits and pieces just to keep that up. Spent too much money and time at uni to give that up just yet.
Yeah, it's a long degree, hey? Like it's a long process.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, so I don't want to throw it away just yet. But it's a bit of an effort just to keep your registration. So we'll see where it goes.
Was it a big decision to go full time into the running your own business, especially apparel?
A little bit. A lot of people asked whether I was like nervous or anything, but I think I was just so stressed trying to do both jobs that it wasn't really nerve-wracking. It was just about kind of cutting back on my stress levels and workload a little bit, which worked for a little bit. And then, of course, because you're spending more time on the business, it gets bigger and more things come up and you end up, just filling your week anyway. So, but yeah, no, it's been good. It's been good to have more time to think about the business. I say that, but there's still not enough time to actually think about the business because you're just doing all the day-to-day things. But yeah, I don't think I'd be able to be doing both at the moment. It's just too much work.
That's pretty epic, though. Like, a lot of clothing companies don't go much further than T-shirts, really. Like, it's pretty epic to be able to break into a very saturated market.
Yeah, I think I had one big benefit was back in 2017, there weren't as many Australian brands. So kind of slowly got some market share. Whereas I think if you were starting one tomorrow, it would be a pretty huge task just to like you said, get past T-shirts or, get enough of the market to make it a proper job.
Yeah, 100%. I think like it's hard to get a unique selling point and stuff like that these days as well, because it's just kind of like design. There's a lot of technologies that are quite the same. There's only so many ways to make a shirt, right? Like
100%. And I think it's a bit funny at the moment because it's kind of like the easiest time in history to start your own brand. But because it's the easiest time in history to start your own brand, there's a million brands and there's another 200 starting tomorrow. Yeah. So like you said, you kind of have to try and be unique or have a really good product or something. Otherwise, a lot of other people that will be doing the same thing.
Just winding it back a little bit, but how did you kind of get into riding and then how'd that stem into wanting to do your own kind of brand? Like,
I have always been like very active and sporty. And then after high school, I took a gap year, lived in the UK, and I was working in an outdoor activity centre. So like taking groups of kids kayaking and rock climbing and stuff. And I was living in quite a big share house, and some of the guys there that were a little bit older were into mountain biking. So managed to buy a bike over there and start going with them. But, kind of seems completely different to mountain biking now because it was just, heading out once every few weeks to do some jumps and ride some what would now probably be pretty average trails. But yeah, it was a pretty good intro. And then went to Ireland for a weekend, came back and my bike had been stolen. So that was a bit annoying. And then once that year was up, came back home, bought a hardtail and just started kind of checking out all the Perth trails, and then slowly convinced some of my friends to buy bikes and managed to talk a few of them into it. And then it's just been, one thing to another, started racing, started riding a whole lot more. And here we are today.
What was the Perth scene like back then? Like, I guess you've always had Sam around and stuff pushing it, but I can't think of many others that have come out of WA, and I can't say it's the most mountainous area I know of.
Nah, pretty flat. That's why it's amazing to see or to have people like Sam come out of Perth and like now Bailey Christie, like coming from such a flat place. It's pretty amazing how they've done it. But I think Perth has pretty gnarly unsanctioned trails that aren't very long. They might be a minute, might only be like 150 meters elevation, but all the trail ferries managed to pack in some pretty cool terrain. So the hills aren't huge, but there's quite steep areas. But going back to what would that be, like 2009, 2010, I didn't really know anything about the scene. I just had a bike and started, hunting around for places to ride. And then it's probably a few years later that Steve, who runs WA Gravity Enduro, started that. And that, I think, has helped a lot with WA riding because now that series is so popular that there'll be 500 people at a race. And, we'll have 8 or 9 or 10 races in a year. So it's pretty big. I think it's probably the biggest state series in Australia from what I play. So that's very cool. I think that's done a lot for the scene in WA. I think prior to that, the downhill scene was probably, it was, reasonably big. I think downhill was probably a bit bigger then. It seems to have, well, for a few years there, it was quite quiet. I think the downhill guys have been pushing a lot in the last couple of years. I think the series is back to being very cool, and they race some really cool tracks. I'd like to go there more, but it's too much on. Weekends are too precious with all the things on. But yeah, I think the scene's come a long way. But like you said, there must have always been a lot of riding if Sam can grow up here and
does all right.
Does all right, yeah.
I guess like with the smaller hills and stuff, it's similar to here. Like our trail riding is amazing. Like the downhill scene is good and thriving at the moment, but you can't. There's no point going doing shuttles all day because it takes 20 minutes to do a 1 minute run. Like you might as well pedal up and it takes 15 minutes to do it. So I guess that enduro style and that newer trail riding lends perfect to our kind of areas, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like if you can go down a 1.5 minute track and it takes 15 minutes, 20 minutes to pedal back up, then that's a good way to ride. And you do that for 2 or 3 hours, you've done a pretty good ride.
At what point did you kind of start to think that you wanted to do your own gear, and what kind of led to that?
So it was 2017, and I was kind of really getting into riding. And I think the thing that there's actually one product I think that made me decide like I want to start my brand, and it was a pair of Specialized swap bibs. Mm-hmm. So they were they swap bibs, or I don't know what they're called. But they were just the enduro. Bibs. Yeah, the enduro bibs. And I remember having to pay like $200, or could have been more.
They were outrageous how expensive those things were.
Yeah, I mean, like they were the Specialized seemed to be good at this, like producing a product that no one else is really doing and then charging a lot for it. Which, kudos to them. But yeah, I remember buying it and being like, this product is great because it's got the pockets in the back, but the rest of the product isn't that good. And I just had to pay like a super premium price for it. Like surely you could make this product better and sell it for less. And then I started chatting to some of my friends, and they're like, "Yeah, why don't you just do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I could give it a go." The benefit of being a physio is that you don't work 9 to 5. I think back then I was doing like 11 or 12 till 7. Mm-hmm. So you have your mornings. Yeah, I would have been riding like 3 times a week. Pretty lucky to be able to do that. And so I had the time to actually think about it and go, yeah, I could probably do this. But that particular product obviously takes time and, a lot of samples and a lot of prototypes to get it to be a good product. So it wasn't really feasible to start. It would have taken, a year of mucking around to then start a brand with that product. And it's also to ask people to pay like, quite a reasonable amount for a product from a brand that you've never heard of, to me seemed like a pretty big ask. So while I was chipping away at that, I just released a small amount of socks and jerseys and, made a website and did all the things you got to do, and then released those and kind of went into it with the attitude that I wasn't going to like take out a huge business loan or, put heaps on the line. I kind of wanted to just slowly do it and test the waters and make sure it was a viable option, because you see so many small businesses, not make it. So yeah, with the t-shirts and with the jerseys and socks, I actually had was pretty fortunate that a lot of the like local riders and stuff were pretty keen to jump on board with a local brand and like support me and, purchase some stuff. And yeah, it kind of blew me away really, because it went way better than I thought it would have. Like I was expecting, like a really, really slow start. I mean, I was still doing physio, so it wasn't crazy start where you have to start working full time. But, I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to sell these socks. But, then you do, and you order more and put that money back into the business and keep working on the bibs. And yeah, that's kind of how it all started. And then, once you have sold enough jerseys and socks, then you can start looking at shorts and T-shirts and whatever else you want. So that's kind of how it's been. It's just been like make some money, put that money back into the business, grow, look at product development. Keep chipping away.
Yeah, I remember when those swap bibs came out, I was like, I'm not paying that ruthless price for them. So I went to Spotlight, bought some Lycra and just sewed them onto some bibs that I already had.
That's amazing.
I'm like, this works. Like,
that's amazing. I hadn't heard anyone do that.
I was like,
smart idea though, because you would have had the same thought as me. Like, what? How is this so expensive?
I mean, like, I've got 5-10 pairs of bibs that have been given to me from other brands or like whatever at the time, like demo stuff from when I was in a shop. Why am I going to go and spend $300 on some bibs?
Yeah. Not bagging out Specialized, but I just remember like looking at the product itself and being like, all right, well, like the chamois not that good. The rest of the material is not that good. And I remember being so annoyed. It's like a very weird specific point, but I remember being so annoyed that it was so hard to like go to the toilet. Like my friends just make fun of me because I'm like peeing all the time. So I have a tiny, tiny bladder. But like I just remember it was just so annoying and awkward to like go to the toilet because the bibs came up quite high. So you were like stretching them down and like awkwardly bending over in the bush to try and pee. So those annoyed with the product was kind of what kicked me off.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was, I guess we started off pretty easy with jerseys and socks, but were you kind of looking down the technical garment, like apparel, textiles and stuff like that? Were you kind of starting off with the more tech stuff? Or?
Yeah. Going back a stage, completely forgot a huge other reason behind the brand. So when I had started talking to my friends about it, the other reason, which is quite a big one, was that back in 2017, even Darko were very small, and there weren't really many other Australian brands that I know of. There might have been a few older ones, but no significant Australian brands. And I think around the same time as me, there were a few others that started out. And the other thing was looking around at the mountain bike apparel. It was all very much motocross inspired. It was like Troy Lee and Fox, and they were producing, like moto style jerseys, bright and colourful, and those thick canvasy pants.
Yeah. Yep.
Which, when you mentioned the technical side of things, that's what reminded me of that. And I remember buying a pair, I think it must have been Troy Lee ones, and just thinking like, why are these so heavy? And they had that like huge rubber patch on it.
Yep.
It's ironic now because this jacket has a rubber patch on it. But I remember like riding around in them, especially for, what you'd call an enduro ride now or a trail ride now, and just being like, these aren't that good. And, Perth's very hot. So like, you're always hot. But I was like, these shorts aren't good enough. So onto that. So with the jersey, with all the products, kind of the way that I had gone about it was to contact a handful of suppliers, start talking to them, and get some samples from them, and then test them to work out what would work. And especially because what would work in Australia wouldn't often be the same thing that works, anywhere else in the world. It's hot and, You want something that breathes. So yeah, I'd try out a whole bunch of things, and then also you want a supplier that has really good communication. So, that would cross a few off pretty quickly if they would take, a week to get back to you, or didn't get back to you, or, didn't understand the email or whatever. So yeah, I would order, a handful of samples, try them out, find a couple that work, progress those onto like branded samples, see how those went. So that all kind of happened before I released the socks and jerseys. And then once I found a good sock supplier, just stay with them, obviously. Similar thing with the jersey, and, constantly refining it with the fabric and the cut and the sizing and all that sort of stuff based on what I think and what customers would tell me. But then, so when it got to shorts, I knew exactly what I didn't want them to be. I didn't want them to be heavy, bulky, I wanted them to be, more slim fitting. Now what you look at, everyone's got like slim fitting pants and shorts. But back then there was way more baggy, heavy, downhill orientated stuff. So yeah, getting into the more technical side of things was sort of always there, but probably more a bigger deal when I got to pants and shorts and stuff like that.
It's funny because I think I've got a pair of those TLD shorts like just over there in my office, like the big the big TLD logo on the side and mesh on the back of the leg, but then they feel like a swag material on the front.
Yeah, crazy.
Like, unreal how like.
And they just had some crazy designs as well, which, now you look back and you're like, oh, that's actually pretty cool because, everything that's old is cool. But like, I remember that like huge Stars and Stripes one that Troy Lee had.
Yeah.
Just like clown suits really. But like now you kind of look at the retro photos and you're like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
There's a good one of Brosnan in Bright. There's a photo of him and it looks like the rainbow lollipop, rainbow ice cream. And it's just unbelievable how bright and Larry it was, which is cool. Like as a photographer and media dude, like Bright and Larry, bring it on. It's amazing. But
oh, yeah. And if you're racing World Cups, you can wear, whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Or skin suit or a one piece, whatever you want.
Yeah. It's a speed suit.
It's speed suit, sorry.
What was the learning curve like though I guess like you're a physio, you're not fully schooled up in textile technology or what's kind of going on in the industry. Like, what was the learning curve like?
I mean, the learning curve for the entire process has been pretty crazy. Like you said, I'm a physio, know nothing about business, know nothing about textiles, knew absolutely zero about design. And now I feel like I've got a reasonable handle on all those things. So yeah, pretty steep learning curve. But I like novelty. So I like learning a new skill or learning something new. So looking back on it, that was quite a fun time in the business because you're just constantly learning new things. So nothing feels, too much like a drag because it's all new and exciting and you're producing something new. So yeah, it was all pretty fun and exciting. There were a couple of like annoying things which I'm sure happened to any person in my position, which was like, finding a supplier and you get your first batch of things and they're really good and you're kind of happy with the price. And then you order a second batch and it's like they've started cutting corners a little bit. So those were pretty big learnings that, obviously that's probably not a supplier you want to keep dealing with, but also you probably need to keep an eye on the product quality of everything else to make sure that they're not producing equality. Because I think it's pretty easy, especially when you're a very small business or a very small brand. It would be really easy to turn people off your product. Yeah. If you've released a couple of things that were just a bit under par. So yeah, kind of trying to keep on top of that and make sure that, that doesn't happen, and trying to listen to customers and get people to tell me if something's not right. A lot of people don't want to tell you. They think you're going to be offended or something if something's broken or whatever. And it's like, I'm never really going to be offended. But, I need to know, because otherwise, if everyone's thinking that, tomorrow I won't have a job. So
exactly.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm quite the opposite, and I'll send you stuff if something's gone wrong. So I always think that's pretty good.
Fortunately, it doesn't happen very often. But yeah, it is. Yeah, it's good to have people that are like that that don't think they're going to offend you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? I mean, if you turned around to me and you said, "Mate, this absolutely sucks," I'll be like, "Oh, that's pretty rough." But if you're like, "This one particular bit on my product, stopped working after 6 months or a year," I'll be like, "Oh, cool. Okay, well, let's figure out how to make that better."
But it's cool that it's sometimes just the small things that go wrong with some of the products, and they've been absolutely thrashed. And it's like a bit of stitching's come undone. It's cool when it's that. It's pretty shit when you buy like a $200 pair of shorts and first ride out you have a small crash and they're destroyed because they've put mesh on the outside of a product. And you're just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, there's a lot of really high-end jerseys out now that you feel them and look at them and they look and feel amazing, but it's the lightest material. Like if you crash, you then have to go and buy another $150 jersey.
Yeah. Whoa. What the hell is this? This is one of those damn baked-in ads, and I thought I'd never have to do one. But fuck it. Since it is the first last episode, Frank and I have decided to do something pretty rad and give you guys the opportunity to get some gift vouchers. There's two $50 gift vouchers up for grabs for Frank. Do you know what's sick about this timing? On the 15th of the 6th, 2024, just to be clear, is their end of financial year sale is just about to kick off. So there is no better time to have some sweet vouchers to go and get some of the best gear in Australia. And you know what? As I said before, these guys support me. That's why I'm supporting them. But even once this thing is done, I will continue wearing their products because it is the best. So yeah, to get in the chance to win one of these $50 vouchers, jump over to the release reel for this episode, which will be posted pretty soon. Well, when this is released, I guess. But yeah, jump over there, comment which has been your favorite episode of the podcast this far. And we will draw those entries probably in about a week or so. So let's say it closes on the 21st of the 6th, 2024. So yeah, this is for listeners only. Jump over to the release reel for this podcast. And yeah, we will choose a couple of people to get some sweet vouchers from the release post. And as I said, the comments can go up until the 21st of the 6th, 24. Nailed it. It's that professionalism that wants me to keep on going. Anyway, back to the potty. Enjoy it.
Which, that's the last thing you want to be thinking about is you want to be thinking, don't crash because I don't want to hurt my head or something. You don't want to be thinking, I don't want to crash because I don't want to have to buy a new jersey.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's something we've kind of kept in mind. The other thing that I hear a bit from other people is sizing discrepancies, not being able to trust that a brand is producing the same sizes or, the same size between two products. So something I've really kind of worked quite hard at is making sure that if you're a medium guy, you should be a medium in all of the products.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
Shouldn't have to be swapping around. For some people, they might be bigger in the upper body or bigger in their legs, but they would hopefully know that and be able to shop around. But, for the standard sizing, you want it to be consistent across the board.
Or if you have multiple ranges of something, you should be a medium in every single range, right?
Yeah. I understand it's pretty tricky because a lot of your trust kind of goes into the supplier to make sure that it's the same. And, you'd be in a pretty hard position if you just ordered 500 pants of a new model or whatever, and they're one whole size different.
Yeah, that'd be brutal.
Yeah, which, I'm sure happens, but yeah, it's something to try to make sure that sizing is consistent.
Was it hard kind of finding the companies? Do you just go online and Google clothing manufacturer, or is there a consultancy?
Yeah, I think there are big consultancies. But yeah, I just went online and started talking to like heaps of them and then slowly whittle them down. So, like start talking to, I don't know, 20 sock suppliers and then cut out the ones that aren't good at communicating with me. And then, order samples and then cut out the ones that the samples aren't very good. And slowly just whittle it down till you found the person. But yeah, when you find a new supplier and you place your first order, it's a little bit nerve-wracking because like normally you start with a sample or a few samples, but when you're ordering samples, even the samples can be very expensive because they're producing one of them. Yeah. So you might order a sample in a few different sizes that still might be the best part of $1,000 or something. If it's an expensive product, and so you're still nervous, hope that they are as good as what they say.
How do you go about finding the right factory to produce the quality of goods that you're producing? Because they are like some of the best. Like I would buy it even if you weren't helping me out or anything because they just last, they just work. But how are you doing that while keeping the cost of the product to the consumer down quite low because your products are quite inexpensive?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things with that. I think finding a good supplier is the biggest hurdle. And once you've got a good supplier, building that relationship with them over years helps a lot because then they might come to you and say, oh, look, we've found this new fabric or, we're doing this. Do you want a sample? Do you want us to make you a sample of it and we'll send it over? It's like, yes, please. So finding those suppliers that want to work with you and kind of want to keep you happy is pretty important. And then in terms of the pricing, I think the only way it's been possible is because it's a small operation.
Yeah, okay.
And it's just me. So I'm not paying staff to sit in a shop and spend money on that. What's probably happening now is I'm trying to diversify a little bit and have some more options. So if you want a lower price product, we can have that available. But if you want a premium product, we've got that as well. So just in the works, talking to some new suppliers now about some more premium jerseys, which hopefully won't be as vulnerable to tearing as I was just saying some of the premium jerseys are. But I think I think as long as the customer knows what they're getting, if they're purchasing a technical race jersey, they want it to feel like nothing. It's going to be expensive, but also it probably won't be as hard wearing. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at and what I'm planning to do. But I definitely want to keep in mind that people don't have huge budgets. Some people just want a jersey to ride in that doesn't look silly, that doesn't cost a bomb. So yeah, try and keep doing that. There's some products like there's some products that I think just can't be that cheap. Like the new jacket. The price went up a bit just because we had to there was more costs involved. Had to do a few more samples, had to tailor the fit a little bit better, and the costs just go up. And the shipping costs might go up or the production costs might go up. And so it's like, okay, well, if we want to have a really good jacket, it has to be this price. No one wants to buy a bad jacket. Like, no one wants to buy a bad jacket for $100. Yeah. Because they just won't wear it. Especially in Australia, if you put a plastic bag on,
Oh, it's ruthless.
And you're just sweaty all the time. Like you just won't wear it. So you just waste that $100. So there's some products like that where I'd love to have a cheaper option, but I just don't think it's worth it or possible. But yeah, it's certainly something I've kept in mind over the years is that I don't want to be the Balenciaga of mountain biking.
Yeah. No
$1,000 t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can buy a jacket. Like some of the jacket costs are unreal and they're amazing quality and great things, but not everyone needs them because not everyone's racing. Not everyone needs. No, like the Castelli, they did a jacket. I can't remember what it's called now, but they did the Gabba jacket and it was like $400 or something.
Yeah. I mean, especially with jackets, there are some amazing materials that would breathe almost like a jersey, but extremely waterproof. But yeah, you got to have $400 to spend on a jacket.
Yeah. And it was built for like Europe. So you used it for a month here. Like it was insane. Yeah.
Even here, like if I go riding, I'll wear a jacket for the first couple of runs and it would have to be absolutely bucketing down for me to keep it on just because I get really hot even in the middle of winter. So yeah, I think there's definitely, if you're riding in the Alps and it's freezing cold, you probably want a really expensive jacket because the alternative is you're going to freeze or get really wet. So
especially
horses for courses.
If you're in Ireland or Scotland or something like that, then 100% it's your daily wear.
Yeah, you're wearing your jacket every single day. Yeah.
Whereas if you're here in Adelaide, you wear it for a week and you're done.
Exactly. Exactly right.
What's been like one of the biggest hurdles when it comes to, I guess when you're testing it, are you giving out test products to a bunch of people or are you doing it all yourself? And then I guess like what are your hurdles when you develop the product and it's come out and there's an issue or something like that? How are you dealing with that if there is anything?
Yeah, the testing has changed over the years. So, like at the very beginning, it was so small and there were so few products, I was able to test everything. And I was riding 3 to 4 times a week. So, yeah, I kind of had a good handle on testing everything. And then I started getting a lot of my friends and local riders to try things and also like brand ambassadors to try things and let me know what they thought and all that sort of stuff. So it's still pretty much like that. Like I'll just give people some things, get them to try it out, or make sure I have tested it for 6 months or however long to make sure that it's working and that it's good. The tricky thing with getting other people to test it is you have to make sure that what they're telling you, that you have to make sure they're thinking along the same lines as you. Like I'm very picky about how things feel and fit and breathe. So sometimes I'll give something to someone and I'll have the same thing and I'll be testing it and I'll be like, oh, so what do you think? He's like, oh yeah, really good. Is that all? He's like, yeah, no, it works. It's a good jersey. It works. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then meanwhile, I'm thinking like, oh, it's not breathing well enough. Like feels uncomfortable on my shoulders or what, I'll have 10 things that I don't like about it and they'll just say, yeah, it's all good. So I think it's probably not a bad thing that I'm probably the most picky person in terms of my own products. Some things are easy to change. Some things you kind of have to bite the bullet and be like, I'm not happy with it, but 99% of people, it might be a tiny thing. It's like 99% of people don't even know this. Not an issue, but 99% of people think it's great and you don't like it for some reason. Like I learned a big lesson with the gloves that I did because I made these gloves. 99% of people that had them loved them, but I didn't like them. There was just a couple of things I just didn't like about them. So I just didn't order any more and they sold out. And then I had so many people just be like, oh, are you getting these gloves back in? I'm like, no, I'm not getting them back in. I'm going to redesign them. It just kept slipping down the to-do list.
Yeah.
it's still at the bottom of the list. So I don't know if it'll get done. But then in hindsight, like I've still got a pair that I wear. I've still got multiple pairs of them, and I've had them for years.
Yeah.
But nothing's gone wrong with them. They haven't worn out. Like they still feel good. It's like, yeah, sometimes you're your own worst enemy. You should have just kept producing those gloves or fine-tuned them a little bit rather than just throwing it in and being like, yeah, I'll redesign them with a new supplier another time. So yeah, you learn lessons like that, not to work against yourself, I guess.
Sometimes there's that old saying, right? Like great gets in the way of good. Like it could be really damn good, but if it's not perfect, then you're not happy with it.
Yeah.
And I guess
gloves is it.
Sorry.
I was just going to say the gloves is one that definitely has stuck with me because every time I put my gloves on now, I'm like, yeah, you're an idiot. You should have just kept making them. But yeah, anyway.
I guess there's things like use cases as well. Like a simple one I never even thought of until I went to Threadbow. I'd never used a chairlift before. And then you realise that they have lift pass pockets in their side for the lift pass, so you can just walk past. I'm like, oh, that's what that pocket's for. I never understood it because we didn't even have a shuttle company here at the time. Like,
yeah, I had the same thing. That I didn't really. I kind of knew about the lift passes because I'd done a lot of snowboarding and skiing, but I never really thought about it until a few people mentioned it. And yeah, now it's on the cards for the next jerseys I do. But yeah, like you said, everything's got to have a purpose.
At what point in the business did you start to look for ambassadors and go down that route as well? Like, how did you find people you wanted to work with?
I was pretty lucky in the beginning. I'm friends with so many people in the Perth mountain bike scene. I was pretty lucky in the beginning just to kind of work with a lot of my friends and be nice to them, give them some free stuff. And there were a couple of young guys at the time that were doing really well. So it was really easy just to give them some stuff and they'd help me out with photos or whatever I needed. And then just slowly started to find other people. It wasn't really a case of like going out and hunting for it. It was a couple of them were just lucky finds where someone might mention it, or I might just see that person on Instagram or something and see that they might be doing something interesting, or they might be like super embedded in their community. And then, reach out to them and be like, hey, are you open to kind of working together? It's really interesting. Some of those people that I started working with so long ago are still around and still help them out with kit, and they still do a great job of promoting the brand, which I think speaks highly for both parties, them as the, ambassador or representative, and my brand as in they still want to keep working with us. And then, pretty lucky, like I'm good friends with Geordie Prakara and back a few, I don't know when. Must have been like 2018, 19, 20 or something. He was racing downhill World Cups.
That's right, yeah.
And so, I just kind of reached out to him and he was like, yeah, I'm keen. So it helped him out. And then he swapped over to Enduro and I was able to keep helping him out for a little bit longer. And then, just slowly found more people. You get a lot of messages and emails. And sometimes it's really hard to find or to know who you're getting involved with until you start that process. Some have turned out amazingly, and some, you might help them out for a little bit and then you never hear from them again. But I think that's just part of it, You got to you got to try these things, and you slowly get better at choosing who's going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
And who's not.
Yeah, it's cool. I remember reaching out to Geordie before I approached you as well. Like, I'm like, what do you think about the kit? Like, because he was on, I think, 100% at the time after you guys, because he went to Grey Zone.
Grey Zone, yeah.
Yeah. But, and he was frothing over the gear. He's like, I absolutely love this stuff. I wouldn't do it. And then, like, you're a good person as well. Like, Francis is amazing. So,
yeah,
it's cool to have those. Yeah. Are you going to start making him some high-vis mining gear and stuff? Or
Yeah, maybe get into work boots or something. I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess like, what's the best way that like some athletes have approached you as well from that side? So I approach you guys, obviously, try to do it in the most professional way, but you get messages that are like, "Hey, I'm 13. Can you sponsor me?" Like that's literally all you get
every day. I think as I'll put in the effort to like read and communicate back to anyone that has put in the effort in their initial communication. So the worst ones, which, are the ones that are the most frequent, are just a message on Instagram, "Can you sponsor me?" Half the time they don't even spell the word sponsor correctly. Or they won't use any capitals or any like punctuation or, anything. And the other one that you get quite a lot is a email that will start with, "Hey, Frank, mountain bike apparel," or they will spell it wrong. But then like halfway down the page, you see another brand in there. Like they're just sending it to 50 brands. So, if someone's made sure that they know who they're addressing, they've spelled everything correctly, I'll always try and take the time to read it and reply. Sometimes of the year, it might just be crazy busy. And just in case anyone's listening, if someone has put in a lot of effort and I didn't get back to them, it's probably just that you got me on a bad week where there's a million things going on. But if you followed that up again a week or two later, then I'll definitely get back to them. But yeah, the best ones are just ones that have been thought out. It'll include why they're asking for sponsorship, or why they want to be a brand ambassador, what they think they can offer, what we might be able to offer them. And then I'll always get back to them. And I'm always on the lookout for interesting athletes or interesting people, because it's not about, you don't have to be out there winning international races or even local races, or you don't even need to be going to local races. If you're a big member of your community, you're putting in effort growing the sport or growing the community or just being a nice person, and you reach out with some ideas of how you might help me, then of course I'll look for ways that we could help you and could form a partnership. And like I mentioned, some partnerships that were formed years ago are still going, and they're the best ones because you develop a relationship and some loyalty there. And they're the ones you want to hang on to.
Yeah, I think it's pretty important to help those crew that are just doing stuff for the community as well, right? Like, racing is such a small part of the community and the sport. Like, there's thousands and thousands of people riding bikes, and only a couple of hundred are racing. Like,
I always forget that in WA, because so much of my mountain biking is about it's not about the like WA Gravity Enduro, but I'm at every race. Like I take the shop to every race and I race every race. And so you just see the same people all the time, and you totally forget that and I don't ride many of the formal trails in Perth, but if you ever do go out to the proper trails, like 1,000 people there riding around in board shorts and runners.
Yeah.
Like that, you've never seen them before. Like there's so many more people involved in the sport there than you think of. So that's right. It's important to remember that it's not, racing's a tiny, tiny part of it. So many people don't like racing. So, and fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. In saying that, though, you have sponsored some pretty good races. That young up and comer Bailey Christie, not Bailey Cooper, Bailey Christie.
Bailey Christie.
Yeah, he's going all right, eh?
Yeah, he's doing phenomenally. Like, I remember talking to him after last season when he went over and did a few enduro races, and he seemed a bit annoyed at himself. Whereas I was like, "Oh man, you've done amazing. You've gone over there. You've completed a few races. Like, well done. Like, that's the first step, right? And he was saying, he had an interesting comment, which was that he was trying too hard and crashing all the time. Like he'd first corner crash because he just come into it twice as fast as he should be. And so I think he's done, he's put in so much work, done a lot of training, a lot of fitness, and then, just blown everyone away in terms of expectations and stuff in that first 2 rounds. I'm so impressed with how well he's done. It's crazy to see.
Is it pretty crazy to see your kit go from you just having an idea about some bibs of 7 years ago to now being on essentially a World Cup podium?
Yeah. Yeah.
Top step
yeah,
even.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty crazy. Sometimes I get carried away and don't take the time to actually think about that. Like someone will mention it, like you just mentioned it, or someone else will mention it. And, I'll often just be like, oh, yeah, it's amazing. And then haven't actually given it any thought. But if you sit back and think, oh, yeah, I just created this brand from nothing. And now you got people winning big races. It's pretty crazy. It's not what I was expecting. It's not like I got into this thing like I'm going to be the world's biggest brand, or, I'm going to be on the top step of World Cup races or anything, and it's still not the goal or anything. But it is amazing when you find someone like Bailey who's, always been a big fan of the brand. And I remember talking to him when he was, a young teenager about, getting him some custom jerseys and stuff. And being fortunate that he's just always been keen to chat to me, and we're good friends now. So it's pretty amazing when you have someone that's really nice and they've always been a big fan, and now they're winning World Cup enduro races.
And what's it like having Team High Country as well?
Yeah, they are also very cool. Chris, who's the team manager, just reached out to me a couple of years ago saying, starting this Team High Country, we're going to go race some World Cups. A couple of people put me on to you and suggested I get in touch to see whether you might be interested in sponsoring the team. And I just thought, well, yeah, there's absolutely no reason not to. And I think they've done very well. And I think with people like Bailey and teams like Team High Country, I'm always kind of impressed with how professional the races are these days. It's changed a lot from 10 years ago.
Yes, 100%.
Not saying professionalism's everything, but, if I'm at work, it's nice dealing with it. It's nice supporting people that are really professional. So, just the content they can produce and the personalities and everything. It's pretty cool to see.
Especially that content they produced at Leogang with their
kits.
That was amazing.
That was cool. Yeah, we had some issues with their team sponsors not signing off their contracts till really, really late.
Yeah.
So the first round, everything was just a huge rush to try and get them jerseys and pants. And so we pushed really hard to get the first jerseys done as quick as we could and get them shipped straight to them. And then the pants was just a bit of a nightmare. I got them sent straight from the supplier to Fort William because it was cutting it really fine.
Yeah.
And DHL said, we can get them there in 5 days. And they just sat in customs in England for a week.
Yeah.
Until after the race. And then the pants arrived in Fort William the day after the team had left.
Shit. Yeah. Classic.
So then poor Chris, the team manager, had to work out how to get them from Fort William to Poland for the next race.
Yeah.
Just a bit of a nightmare, but it's hard when suppliers have lead times that they can't really move on, and then you've got other things that slow it down, like other brands not signing the contracts quick enough.
Yeah. There's a lot of moving parts, hey?
Yeah, but now they finally have everything. So that reel was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
As one of my friends said, it would be hard to be there and not film a good reel or take a good picture, because like the scenery is insane.
You just point a camera in a general direction, you're going to get something decent. Like,
yeah,
it's basically
even if it's
cheating.
blurry.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Like, and they've got their own like young junior media guy on the case anyway. So
yeah, he does a pretty good job.
Yeah, he's pretty funny.
He's good on the bike as well.
He is very good on the bike. Yeah. Saw him in a Wava and I was like, this kid rips. And then I realized it was the classic bulk up media kid. And he was ripping. So
yeah, it's pretty cool to see.
Have they given the racers given you much feedback that from the professional side of things and racing at that level, or is it all pretty much the same from, I guess, your general consumer right up to the top dogs? Like,
in terms of like product feedback, or
in product feedback,
a couple of, it's only been like really minor things.
Yeah,
I think it's been like the tiniest things, but I think I have to make sure that I get on a call with Chris towards the end of the season. Yeah, they're busy touring all around Europe, so it's hard to kind of get them to sit down. But I have to make sure that there's nothing that I've missed. But yeah, it's only been like pretty minor things.
Small things. Yeah, sick.
Yeah.
What have you got planned for the future? Is there anything you've got kind of in the works that is pretty exciting, or?
There's just constant thoughts of products or what to do with products, and like I said, producing kind of a more diverse offering without going too crazy, because obviously small business, you can't have $1 million of stock sitting around. So it's about trying to keep things simple but also give people some options. So like, we've got a few different options in the pants colors now, and we'll hopefully have kind of like 3 different price points for jerseys soon. That'll kind of be the main things to work on. There's nothing crazy coming up. Just kind of keep plodding away. The one of the biggest difficulties is being too busy and just having to react to work. Not being able to spend a day thinking about what the plan is. Some, a month will go by and you'll be like, man, I didn't do anything on the like longer term to-do list. It was just reacting to emails or orders or whatever. Hopefully get some more time. We're looking at streamlining a few things to free up some time so I can keep thinking about bigger picture stuff. Just keep plodding away.
Have you noticed much of a difference? We had that big boom throughout COVID, and now it's kind of quieting back down to, apparently it's still better than pre-COVID times, which is good. But as a small business, did you notice that as much as some of the big guys have? Yeah,
I wouldn't want to have big liabilities. I don't think I'd want to have multiple warehouses or anything. Definitely, I feel like the biggest change is you have to put in more effort to get a customer now. Yeah. Like in COVID, you could put any product online, run a really cheap Facebook ad. The Facebook ad would make heaps of money for you. And you just kind of cruise, which was nice. But now I think you just got to, it takes more effort and more money to get a customer. Like even with Facebook ads, you kind of, well, for me, I assume it's similar for other people, but you have to spend a bit more to get that customer.
Yeah.
They might not see the ad for the first time and be like, I'm going to go buy that because, they got bills to pay and food to buy and everything. Like, yeah, it seems like, just kind of cost of living. Like, I know personally I am not spending as much as I was.
Yep. I know that feeling all too well.
Yeah, so it makes sense that, your customers aren't going to be spending the same amount that they were. And that's why I think it's just important to keep focusing on making improvements, making sure it's a good product.
Yeah.
Making sure that, you don't want anyone to have spent their hard-earned money and not like the product.
I think it's also like I spoke to a lot of crew when the downturn hit. I think it's pretty important to take it not personally or as if the product is bad. Like, I think a few people are like, oh shit, we're not doing well because we suck. And I think they weren't as in touch, or maybe they didn't realize like the whole market had crashed. And I think that was quite important throughout that time as well.
Yeah, I think it's good to remember. It's good to like have reviews on the website, like coming in all the time, or like, you release a new product and you talk to your friends about it, and it's good to have good feedback. It's good to have constructive feedback as well, but it's good to have good feedback because you're moving in the right direction, even though it might be a rough year or rough quarter or whatever. You can keep pushing a little bit. But certainly seems like people aren't spending as much money, which totally makes sense because, like I said, I'm not spending as much money. I've talked to a few bike shops, and I think some bike shops are doing it a bit tough, which is, a shame, and not saying you want to hear or see. But it, also makes sense. It was, everyone bought a bike in COVID.
Yeah,
so
literally.
Now companies have too many bikes, and bike shops don't want to buy a bike, and secondhand bikes are super cheap. So
yeah,
you're certainly in an interesting position. And I think the other thing that really doesn't help is probably the whole downhill and enduro World Cup thing. It's so hard to watch. Less people are watching. That doesn't affect me really because I'm not making sales off Log Bruni or whatever. But if you're a big brand and now no one's watching downhill World Cups, it must hurt your pocket surely.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys are all struggling.
Yeah.
For sure. I did notice though, like last night I was watching some replays and I noticed at the start line Red Bull have got their logo on the big start TVs right at the top. I just thought that was quite funny. Like every time someone started the race, there's these two big Red Bull logos right in dead center. So I don't know. I can't comment on anything to do with the TV coverage because no one knows the numbers. Like no one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no one. It's really hard to get viewership numbers.
They haven't said who's watching, how many people are watching.
No, there's none of that.
Wow.
So yeah, unless I guess you can go on the YouTube from last year, but like no one will know from this year.
Yeah.
So
I guess you could compare. So last year, it was the same deal, right? They had juniors on YouTube.
Well, yeah.
I guess you could kind of compare last year's viewers of the juniors to this year's viewers, because if you're really into it and you're watching every round, you're probably going to watch the juniors. But yeah, like you said, it's hard to say. But I can't imagine that many people are watching it on. How do you watch it here? On Stan.
Yeah,
with that extra package or something. I can't imagine a lot of people. Whereas, when it was on Red Bull TV, me and all my mates would watch every single race.
Yeah.
So
and now no one's.
It's a shame. It's a shame. Hopefully, it changes one year.
Yeah, it should do. Hopefully, well, just makes it easier. I don't mind paying. I want people to get paid for doing their work, but just make it easier.
Yeah. I'm all for that. Yeah. But make it easier and make it affordable, I guess. Because I think with that Stan one, it was looking like a pretty reasonable price to pay.
It's like $35 a month all up if you didn't have Stan.
Yeah, it's quite a cost.
Yeah, it is expensive.
Yeah.
It's still way cheaper than Supercross. Supercross is unreal. It's like $200 or $300.
What do you think about the semi-final, final style of racing?
I hate it.
Yeah.
I don't. Downhill should be one run.
Yeah.
There's too much to watch. Like, that's the other thing. It's like last year, it was like a whole weekend of my time was gone watching.
Yeah.
Watching downhill. Like,
yeah.
As much as I love it, watching it for 7 hours is unreal.
Yeah. You just want to sit down for one night and watch the finals. As in, the top 60 go down the hill, or however many we used to see on Red Bull. But yeah, I think it must really be hard for some of the races. Like Jackson Connolly qualified this round. But then, still doesn't get to race a final.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Like, that would be pretty hard to swallow. Or maybe you're used to it because you're hanging around it all the time. But yeah, I'd be pretty annoyed if that was me. Like, it's hard enough just to qualify, and then you still don't get to go racing or, race the final.
The worst was last year when I think somehow Greg Minnaar was protected. He flattered in quali, had some issue in semi, still got through, did all right in the final, but because he did bad, there was 20 riders. There was one rider extra in the thing,
right,
because he was protected and someone else qualified in, so they had someone else in there, but that person ended up coming last and didn't get any points from the race because
he's one position.
Yeah, and it's like,
one position out.
Yeah.
It seems complicated and frustrating. I mean, they've already cut it down from so many qualifying riders.
Yeah,
like what it used to be 80 or something, then it went to 60.
60, yeah.
Anyway.
You look at Brayton, and he can qualify for a final, but that doesn't qualify him enough points to get into the next World Cup. It's a really weird sport sometimes.
Yeah, I'm pretty disconnected from it now. Just watch some highlights.
Yeah.
But I'd like to be watching it every race.
But the local racing is amazing in Australia at the moment. That's what's so good. Just going to these local races.
Yeah, the local races are cool. Yeah. I'm excited for Enduro Nationals over here. Yeah. Should be fun.
Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, they're all new trails. Hopefully, or at least half of them are brand new trails.
Yeah,
that have only kind of softly opened. So I haven't been out there yet, but I'm hoping it's going to be pretty fun.
I don't even know if people know where it is exactly yet. But
it's in Collie, okay, which is down south. Yeah,
because I heard rumours it was going to be in Nunnup, but
that's where I would have liked it to be, because those trails are insane. But Collie.
Okay. Sick.
Should still be fun. Should still be good.
Yeah. I might start wrapping things up then.
Cool.
What advice would you have for someone looking to start their own company in the mountain bike industry or any clothing company?
Oh, don't do it. Nah. No, I think you have to be very careful thinking about that. Like, if someone had been able to accurately describe how much work I would put in to get to where I am now, I'm not sure whether I would have kept working as a physio. I don't think many people understand how many hours go into it. So I guess the advice is be prepared to do more work than you thought was possible.
For less money.
A lot of blood, sweat and tears. And, no one's making millions of bucks. You gotta want to do it, I guess. And you got to be happy to put in blood, sweat and tears and money to make it work. And it's a roller coaster. So just be prepared and make sure you really want to do it. Make sure you're not thinking, I'm going to do this, it's going to be easy, I'm going to make some money. I don't think that's the case.
Nah, to make millions in the bike industry, you got to start with billions. So
you'd want someone backing you that had a whole lot of money.
Is there anything you would have done differently or regret doing?
Nah, not at all. I don't regret any of it. And I don't think I'd change anything. I'm pretty happy with how it's gone. Like, I like taking physical risks, like mountain biking, snowboarding, surfing, whatever. I like that. I feel like I'm in control a bit and stuff. I don't like huge financial risks. So I'm really quite happy with how I've gotten to this point.
Yeah.
Without, owing the bank 500 grand or whatever, I think like I'm really happy with how it started and how it progressed slowly over time. And then, happy with where I'm at now, and just got to keep plodding along, keep pushing further, and kind of keep focusing on growing. Because I think, especially in a small industry like this, I think as soon as you're not pushing or growing or trying something different, it would be really easy to start going backwards. So, that's the plan. Just keep working hard and pushing forward and finding new people to work with. And
Sick. And last question, seems to be the hardest for a lot of people, but if you're lacking a bit of motivation, to get up and design something, or, push through the boring stuff, or head out for a ride, like, is there anything you listen to music wise? Like, do you have any practices that help you get motivated and get you out there? Or
having 2 young kids, there's lots of mornings where I don't want to.
Yep.
I don't want to sit in front of the computer. You just battle the kids to get their shoes on and get to daycare, and then you come home and sit down in front of the computer to 50 emails, and you just go, oh my goodness, I could just go have a nap. Music's a big one. Like, I like a lot of English hip hop and grime music, so put on some Dave or something and get down to it. And then sometimes I'll feel pretty stifled in the office, like can't think of designs or whatever. So normally taking the orders, like my post office is really close, so I normally skateboard to the post office, drop off the orders, get outside, get some fresh air, take the dog for a walk, do something like that, and then try and come back and do it again. Yeah.
You can get pretty stifled and cooped up in that office pretty quickly, eh? Like, it doesn't take long.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think every year I sit down way more than I did the last year, just because like so much is happening on the computer with emails and doing custom designs and all that stuff. Like, when you're a physio, you don't sit down at all. Yeah. I think every year I just sit down more and more. So it's good to remember to just, like, if it's not working, get up, do something else. Yeah. Come back and try again. I think the other thing is remembering that you shouldn't be too hard on yourself if you're having a really off day. Yeah. There's no point rushing a design to someone that's half-assed. It's like, today's not my day. It's 3:00 in the afternoon. I should just either give up or move on to something else and then try again tomorrow morning. So
100%.
Yeah, if the music doesn't work, then I might just push it to tomorrow.
For sure. Yeah. Easy, man. Thanks so much for coming on, and thanks for your support over the last few years, because, I've been frothing your gear and frothing the support. So, thank you.
Yeah, you're most welcome. It's always good to have people like you on the team, and it's because it's only me in the business. It's nice having people to work with and talk to. So, it's good having people like you on board. But thanks for the chat. It's been great.
Easy, man. Thank you so much, and we'll talk again soon.
No worries. Catch ya.
Easy, man. There we go, guys. First episode of the last, I guess. We've got a few more episodes coming up, so we're going to have about 10 or so more episodes before we finish off the show. We're going to smash them out, and they're going to be epic. We've got some absolute heroes on, and one person that I've always wanted to interview will be hopefully on the show. We're working hard to make it happen. So, keep on listening. And as I said, end of 24, this will be wrapped up. So no need to go and share it with your friends and mates and whatever. Just enjoy it. Have fun. Thank you.